Hi, this is Andreas from TechnicalGearhead.com. From time to time, we like to do reviews that are a little bit, off topic. Some things that are not necessarily tactical, but we think are useful. Today, I just want to give you an introduction, not so much a review, but an introduction to the concept of inductive cooking. My wife and I, we like to eat hot pot a lot. Hot pot is a kind of a Chinese version of fondue. It's where you take a pot of hot water, you have it in the middle of the table, and you put raw vegetables and meat and stuff into the hot water, and then you kind of pick it out, and the whole thing, you put spices and stuff in there, so it gets, it's a very tasty kind of thing to eat. But unfortunately, our hot pot device broke down recently, and so I replaced it now with an induction cooker. And an induction cooker, quite simply, is it's a cooker that uses magnetic induction, that is rapidly changing magnetic field to induce current and thereby also heat into any kind of ferrous, that is magnetic or iron containing material. So what I have here is a cup, a GSI outdoor cup that John has previously reviewed over at TechnicalGearhead.com. I just filled it with some cold water. And I want to show you how fast one of these babies can heat water. I'm going to turn her up to the maximum. Unfortunately, because we live in the United States, the power of this thing, it runs on 120 volts, which means that the wattage is really quite limited. If you live in a 240 volt country, you can get these to go all the way up to 3,200 watts of power. But anyway, despite that downside, the reason that inductive cooking is so effective is that all the heat goes into the cooking vessel as opposed to just kind of radiating into the room. So with an inductive cooker, you don't get that kind of radiant heat, and also you can do things like this. I can put my hand right here on the cooktop and it doesn't burn because there's no direct heat being generated. However, the cup is where the heat goes because it's ferromagnetic, and if you take a look, you can see the small bubbles starting to form as the water begins its process of boiling. Now, a cup like this, won't take very long to boil normally, but I can assure you that this inductive cooker can bring the water to a boil much faster than any other kind of method. At this point in the video, I think we're about 2 minutes and 38 seconds in. I don't remember when I started it, but it couldn't have been more than about 40 seconds ago, maybe 30. So I'm just going to keep on filming here until the water comes to a proper boil, and you can get an idea for how fast this works. The other nice thing about inductive cooking is because the power goes directly to the cook pot, as soon as you turn down the power, you're essentially turning off the heat source, which means that cooking on an inductive surface works a lot like cooking with gas, in that you have a lot more fine control over how much heat gets to your actual food. This would work great with a cast iron skillet, for example, or any kind of a pot, so long as it's not purely aluminum, which it can be hard to find. The great way to figure out if your pot is ready for inductive use is just to try to stick a magnet to it. If a magnet sticks, it for sure will work on an inductive range. Many pots nowadays will also have a symbol or will say, compatible with inductive ranges. This one here I bought online, but there are any number of different units available. One thing to look out for is the different wattages these things can run up to, the maximum wattage. Of course, the more watts, the better the unit is. If you're just running it for a hot pot and maybe nothing else, then probably a 12 or 1300 watt unit will do good. But if you want to do something like steaming a large pot of water for steaming things, steaming some buns, for example, or whatever you want to steam, if you cook a lot of Asian food, you might understand what I mean there. In that case, you're going to want to get something with more watts. I chose to get the maximum wattage I could. You'll also hear there's some noise going on, and that noise is actually the fan in the unit that's just cooling down the electronics inside. Because, anytime you have current moving, you do generate some heat, and electronics are fairly sensitive to heat, so it runs a fan the entire time it runs. Anyway, as you can see, the water has now begun to boil. In a second it'll be up to a rolling boil, I'm sure. But anyway, I don't want to bore you by watching a pot try to boil, but you get the impression. This is a very fast and effective way of cooking. Of course, if you have a pot with a bigger surface area on the touches of the thing, you're going to get a lot better results than I do with this tiny little cup here. But this thing boils the water in this cup a lot faster, dramatically faster than my butane burner that I use when I go camping with the same cup. I wish I had a generator with me when I'm out in the field so I can actually use this bad boy instead. But anyway, you get the impression. If you have any questions, feel free to leave any comments for us over at Technical Gearhead, and come back to our YouTube channel, and you can see my review of the Maritac and the Maritac AA and the Phoenix PD30 flashlights. Thanks again.